Studies show that 1 in 3 people absolutely hate change. But those studies were done in like 2016. Here in 2024, everyone basically hates everything, except when big name players change teams. What is going on, Headliner Nation? Hopefully everyone's doing well out there today, where yes, we're talking about some high-end running backs who are currently free agents in the NFL that can find themselves on some different teams. And this has to be one of the most exciting times of the year for a lot of people. Everyone looks forward to high-end players potentially, hopefully, making it to their favorite NFL team. But something else people love? Free things like, how about a signed mini helmet of Deebo Samuel? The Super Bowl's right around the corner. I'm sure somebody would like to walk away with this mini helmet. So how do you get in on this giveaway? Well, it's super simple. You need to follow us over on Instagram. There's a link down below in the description. In that Instagram post, just leave a comment and tag 2 of your friends and you're going to be entered. The contest is going to end on the Super Bowl and we'll randomly select a winner from the comment section there on Instagram to give away a signed Deebo Samuel mini helmet. But let's go ahead and head back to free agency, because why do people love free agency so much? Well, really, there's a couple of reasons. One, by the time that free agency rolls around in March, a lot of people need a little bit of a football fix. We're looking for some sort of breaking news. But not just that, a lot of people out there have that potential adrenaline rush of one of these high-end players joining their favorite NFL team. And I can't believe it's February already. Free agency is right around the corner. It's scheduled to start on March 13th here this year, and we have some big-time running backs that are going to be on the open market. Now, over the last couple of years, we've started to see the running back market kind of die off. You can get a lot of that similar talent for a cheaper price through the NFL draft than having to go out there and pay a ton of money for a vet. Well, that's really drawn that market value down on running backs, and now all of a sudden, some contending teams that may want to take a stab at a veteran running back, a high-end player, they don't have to pay crazy money for it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at who I believe are the top, the creme de la creme of the running back position here that are free agents in 2024. And let's just kick it off with Derrick Henry here at the top of the list, because so many people say that Derrick Henry is old, he's washed, he's fallen off. And I'm not ready to say that just yet. The guy was just second in the NFL in rushing, had 1,381 total yards and 12 total touchdowns. If that's washed, I will definitely take washed if I'm a contender in the NFL. Derrick Henry just didn't get the touches in 2023 that he'd gotten in years past. Tajay Spears was a thing in that Tennessee offense. Plus, the Tennessee offense didn't give Derrick Henry very many scoring opportunities. They were 27th in the league in total points scored, but it's all about the volume. In the 4 years prior to 2023, Derrick Henry averaged 21 touches per game. Last year, just 17. That's a difference of 4 touches per game. He's averaged over his career 4.5 yards per touch. We're talking about an additional 300 yards that he could have gotten if the volume would have just stayed consistent to years past. That would have been a total of 1,681 yards. He was among the top 10 running backs overall in the NFL in carries, rush yards, total touchdowns, evaded tackles, breakaway runs, and yards created. Yes, he's about to turn 30 years old, but this dude is still a top-tier NFL running back. But then we also have Josh Jacobs as well, and what could he do in a better offense with better quarterback play, an offense with more scoring opportunities, somewhere where he's not always having to deal with stacked boxes? Josh Jacobs faced a stacked box 35.2% of the time. That is 4th highest in the NFL. Now, he only played in 13 games just last season, but still had 1,100 total yards. He's had at least 1,100 total yards in all 5 years of his career thus far. He's only about to turn 26, but only has 1 season of full health over his career. That was the big year in 2022, but he's still a young guy with plenty of tread on the tires. How about Tony Pollard? So much of a disappointment for a lot of people in 2023. Unless you watched this channel last offseason, No way were we in on Tony Pollard where his ADP was for fantasy football. The reason that Tony Pollard was so explosive in 2021 and 2022 was because Ezekiel Elliott was getting beat up between the tackles on the ground. Tony Pollard just thrived in that limited role, but once they gave him the full reign on that backfield, I was off the bandwagon. Now, he didn't totally blow in 2023. He had 1,300 total yards and 6 touchdowns, the same yardage that he had in 2022, but he had half the amount of touchdowns, all while getting 75 more touches, so he was a lot more inefficient. He's a 1B in a backfield, and that is okay. He doesn't have to be a workhorse. He was just utilized differently in 2023 than he was in 2022 when the offensive coordinator in Dallas was Kellen Moore. A little bit of foreshadowing there. But what about Saquon Barkley? He's a free agent this year as well, and so much wasted talent up there in New York. The Giants, as an offense, they just suck, and there's no wide receivers they're worth a crap to pull defenders outside of the box. As soon as Saquon Barkley touches the football, he's having to run for his life. But you know what else sucks? A lot of y'all's deodorant, and that's why I need to shout out today's sponsor, Mando. Mando is a whole body deodorant. It's like an all-terrain vehicle for your body. You can put this anywhere. And I'm not even joking. You can put it in your pits, your packages, your feet, whatever you got, Mando's got you covered. Because if you think about it, body odor happens everywhere. Why do we only put deodorant under our arms? But I want you to be able to try out Mando for a little bit of a discount. So head over to shopmando.com right now and get $5 off a starter pack using the referral code Headliners. The starter pack is great because you get to try out a few different products to find out what you like best. What I like best, the unscented Mando with my favorite cologne, and I am fresh as all the time. So once again, head over to shopmando.com, use the referral code Headliners at checkout for $5 off a starter pack and free shipping. But anyway, let's get back to Saquon Barkley, because this guy is an elite talent, and I think everyone knows that. But last year, once again, running behind a bottom 3 offensive line there in New York. But Saquon is a true 3-down back. He can be out there in any situation all 4 quarters. Plus, he's been fairly healthy as of late. He played in 30 of the last 34 games for the New York Giants over the last 2 seasons. He's had 1,200 plus total yards and 10 total touchdowns now in each of those last 2 years as well. Why would he want to stay in New York? Been there, done that. It hasn't worked out, and the Giants, they're not close to winning anyway. Which will then bring us to Austin Ekeler, also on this list. Yes, he had a down year in 2023 after killing it in 21 and 22. But he wasn't overall healthy last season. Plus, don't forget, he wasn't exactly happy with his contract situation in the offseason. Now we also have a new coaching staff there for the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh coming over from Michigan. And Austin Ekeler doesn't really fit the typical run style that Jim Harbaugh is looking for. Austin Ekeler is a guy who needs to be utilized in the passing game, and for whatever reason, that role diminished in 2023. He's 29 years old, but he still has plenty of tread left on the tire because he's only gone over 250 touches 2 times in his entire career. He thrives off that pass catching work and efficiency, and maybe a change of scenery would be a good thing for it. Which then brings me to the last name on my list for this show. It's DeAndre Swift. Now, he was supposed to thrive in Philadelphia, and I guess he kind of did. He had a career high in touches with 268 and total yards with 1,263. But we started to see his volume decrease as the season went on, and we already know that Jalen Hurts is going to steal the majority of the goal line touchdowns. But he also saw a career low in targets, which makes absolutely no sense. Because in 2023, DeAndre Swift had almost double the amount of touches that he did in 2022. However, in 2022, he had 21 more targets than he did just last season. When he got the ball, he looked good. He was elusive and explosive, and for the most part, he was pretty healthy. There's just so many weapons in Philadelphia, they didn't have to overutilize DeAndre Swift. Which then takes us to landing spots, and we were looking at potential landing spots for free agency. You have to determine what teams have a need for the players that are available. In this situation, running backs, teams like the Ravens, J.K. Dobbins isn't going to stay healthy. Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, great role players. Even Keaton Mitchell is going to be a spark at times, but none of them are going to be the lead guy week in and week out. How about the Texans? They outproduced so many people's expectations in 2023. They have a stud quarterback on a rookie contract and money to spend. They're definitely in the game. How about the Vikings? Alexander Madison? I think we kind of saw what that was going to be. Cam Akers? We kind of know what we're going to get. The Vikings definitely need to have some help there in the backfield. If you want that passing game to thrive with the likes of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, it would definitely benefit them to have a running back in the backfield that at least defenses somewhat had to pay attention to. What about the Chicago Bears as well? We saw them utilize Donta Foreman and Khalil Herbert last year alongside rookie running back Roschon Johnson. Now, I like Roschon Johnson, but I don't think he's ready to be a legit 3-down back. And we also don't know what's going to happen with Justin Fields. But the Bears utilizing a better running game, a more consistent running game, plus they got money to spend as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a landing spot. How about the Philadelphia Eagles? We see DeAndre Swift on this list. If they lose DeAndre Swift, they're going to have to replace him with somebody else, along with the Dallas Cowboys. If Tony Pollard walks, Dallas is going to need something, which will then lead us into salary cap space, right? Do these teams have money to spend? And we'll throw it up here on the screen. All the teams do have money to spend, with the exception of the Dallas Cowboys. But let me go ahead and say this about the salary cap, because I don't think a lot of people understand this. The salary cap, it's a myth. It exists, but it doesn't really exist when we're looking at money available. It can be worked around, and it is worked around every single offseason so teams can make moves. Contract money can be converted into guaranteed money. They can void years on, they can do so much with contracts that what we're really seeing on paper right now may not be the case when free agency comes around. Really, the only thing you can take away when you're looking at salary cap space for teams are the teams with the most money available. If they already have a ton of money available and they can still work around other contracts, at least you know that those are the teams that can make the biggest splash in free agency. So when you take that into account and pair it with what we said at the start of the show, how the running back market has dramatically dropped here over the last few years, a lot of these guys have an opportunity to move to one of these teams. So let's take a look at what that market value could be for these players. We kind of have a ballpark estimate of what their contract that they could be offered could look like. For Derrick Henry, he's older. We know that. He's going to be looking at right around 2 years, $20 million, 13 of it guaranteed. Josh Jacobs, 3 years for 34 with 21 million guaranteed. Tony Pollard, a little bit less than Josh Jacobs because of what a lot of people saw last year. 3 years, 24 million, 15 guaranteed. Saquon, 2 years for 22, 15 million guaranteed. Austin Eckler, 2 years, $13.5 million, 8 million guaranteed. And then DeAndre Swift, 3 years, 19 million, 12 million guaranteed. But obviously, these are just kind of ballpark estimates of what these contracts could look like. And you can see this is definitely attainable by majority of the teams in the NFL. But we're looking for the best landing spot. So this is where I've pegged these guys for this year. Obviously, a lot can change between now and free agency, but I would honestly love if these are the moves that are made. For Derrick Henry, I paired him up with the Baltimore Ravens. We know the Ravens are going to run a lot. We know they want to protect and keep Lamar Jackson healthy. They're very invested in Lamar Jackson at this point. That passing offense, even though it's improved, is not elite just yet. They need to have a running back that they can count on each and every week to tote the rock upwards of 20 plus times. That's Derrick Henry. How about for Josh Jacobs? I paired him with the Chicago Bears. And the Bears are in a perfect spot to really improve their overall team. That defense took a huge step forward the end of 2023. So let's add a few offensive pieces, and all of a sudden, you have a contender in that division. I don't care if it's Justin Fields or another quarterback there in Chicago. They need a stud running back that they can count on each and every week. The duo, the tandem of Josh Jacobs and Roschon Johnson, paired with the passing game of DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, I could definitely get behind that offense in Chicago. How about Tony Pollard? I put him to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I did it for a couple reasons. Kellen Moore, Philadelphia. Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator in Dallas that really helped Tony Pollard thrive. Plus, in that offense in Philadelphia, they don't need Tony Pollard to go out there and be a 300-touch guy. Kind of similar to what we saw with DeAndre Swift. The difference is Tony Pollard would have absolutely thrived in that system just last season. It just makes a lot of sense. How about Saquon Barkley? And this one may surprise some people. I pegged him for the Houston Texans. I can see the Houston Texans making an absolute splash here in free agency. You have a stud quarterback in CJ Stroud on a rookie deal. You have a stud wide receiver in Nico Collins. You have a stud rookie in 2023 of Tank Dell. All they're missing is a stud running back. Now, nothing against Devin Singletary, but I think we can all agree that Saquon Barkley would definitely be an improvement and give the Texans an opportunity to win that division for multiple seasons here in the future, which will then take us down to Austin Ekeler. I've penciled him in for the Minnesota Vikings. We know that Minnesota wants to throw the ball a ton. Austin Ekeler would be a seamless fit into this offense. I think Minnesota saw the success in Green Bay and all of a sudden is going, you know what? We're not to a point where we feel comfortable that we can go out and win this division even next season. They need more firepower. That could be Austin Ekeler at a decent price. And then DeAndre Swift, I penciled in to the Dallas Cowboys. And what I like most about him going to Dallas, it's a team that would have a need if they lost Tony Pollard. It's a high-powered, a high-scoring offense, and nobody's really going to take away the goal line carries from him. He's an explosive back that can catch passes out of the backfield and doesn't require huge volume. Now, obviously, Dallas has no money to spend, but by the time they do their workarounds of the salary cap, I wouldn't hate DeAndre Swift in Dallas. But I want this show to be interactive. None of us out here can see the future, so when you take into account all the information on these players and these teams, which one of these moves would you like the best? Do me a favor and leave a comment down below and let me know where you want these running backs to play football in 2024. Now, hopefully you enjoyed today's show. If you did, do me a favor and hit the like button on the way out. It definitely helps us here in the off season. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And then most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.